Welcome to Physician Assistant Mentor Online.
Welcome back, or maybe I should say I'm back. I've been gone for a little while. I've really been busy with a lot of students, helping them with their interviews during this current cycle, but finally got a little break in the schedule and we're able to kind of get back on track with our interviews. So if you don't know me, my name is James Kimber. I am a physician assistant and the founder of PA Mentor Online, bringing you the best tips and tools you'll need to get into a PA program. This past cycle, or again, the current 2020-21 cycle, but a lot of students were getting into, I don't know, last count was probably like 186 of the PA programs that exist. And later this year, we'll do a video to summarize a lot of our students that did get in this past cycle, things that helped them, things that might help you. But today we're going to talk about one of my students who got in about a year ago. So she's in her first year, just finishing up her didactic year at, as you can tell, St. Francis University Physician Assistant Program. As you probably know, I like to change up my shirts to the program, so just got this one in the mail and I figured it was time to go ahead and make a video. I'm going to be honest, it's not my favorite shirt. I mean, it has no reflection upon the program, but the color, I just don't feel like the letters pop out. I really can't see it. I don't even know if you can see that it says St. Francis University, but it's the shirt that came in the mail, so I'm going to do with what I have. Anyway, what you'll probably hear is her story, so I'm going to go ahead and go on with the interview so you can listen to one of our students that we helped get in through mock interview and personal statement editing, and she'll tell you how school is going and what she's looking forward to with her clinical rotations. If we can help you, feel free to contact us. We are offering a free consultation. You can just email us at any time. We'll set you up and we'll talk to you about how our services work and what we could do for you. Otherwise, enjoy the video and I hope it helps you in your journey to becoming a physician assistant. Thanks. All right, well, welcome back. Today we're interviewing one of our students that we worked with, I think a couple of cycles ago, and she's still in her didactic year and has graciously agreed to come and talk to us and share her experience with us. So if you could tell us your name and which PA program you're currently attending.
Yeah, so my name is Camila Sandoval, and I'm currently a second year student at the University of St. Francis here in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Well, congratulations. So how are things going given the current pandemic?
Things are going well. I started my first quarter was in person, and then COVID hit. So then I've been doing all of it online since April of last year.
Uh-huh.
We've gone in for a couple labs in small groups since then. But now I've pretty much adapted to online learning and teaching myself as I go.
Uh-huh. How have they been doing their clinical rotations? I mean, I know you're still in didactic phase, but for the other students.
So in the beginning, everyone didn't do the rotations for, I believe, the first 2 months. They were doing all like online clinical rotations.
Right.
Then after they started, they separated the class into 2 different groups. And they sent like half of the students into a rotation because they lost many preceptors. And then the other half would be doing work at like doing online rotation type things, like modules. And then they would switch the next month, and they shortened their rotations from 6 weeks to 4 weeks. And then I think some of them aren't doing an elective rotation in order to graduate on time as well.
Makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we know of other programs where they have actually extended the program by a few months. And as you pointed out, some of the others I have spoken to, they've gone to online rotations, at least initially. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a challenge, but we'll get through this.
Yeah.
Okay,
Hopefully.
so
Sorry.
so tell me about your story. Like, why did you decide to become a PA?
Yeah, so since I was little, I was always interested in the medical field, and I didn't really become aware of what a physician assistant was until college, when I was treated by one. And for me, I thought, going to medical school, but once I figured out about the cost that it would take, like financially, I realized that it just wasn't something attainable for me. I'm a first generation college student. And that was just going to be too much for me. So then when I learned about what a physician assistant does, what they do, the schooling, the time, I realized that this was a perfect fit for me.
Okay. Where did you do your undergrad?
I did my undergrad where did I go? Sorry. I'm like, where? I went to James Madison University in Harrisonburg, Virginia.
Okay. Now, were you able to get all of your prerequisites from that school, or did you have to take additional classes elsewhere?
So I had to take prerequisites outside at the community college just because I switched my major the end of my junior year to public health education instead of health sciences. So I did a big majority of them at the university I attended, but then some of the prerequisites that were left, I did at the community college, but I also retook some of the classes to get better grades.
Okay. Which courses do you feel were the most difficult or that you had trouble with? Or which course?
Yeah. I think the most difficult course for me was organic chemistry because I took it in 4 weeks in the summer instead of an entire semester.
Wow.
I got a B minus and I was like, I'm happy with it. I'll just keep
Uh-huh.
going.
That's pretty
Yeah.
impressive for 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Did you end up taking the GRE?
Yes, I took the GRE 3 times.
Okay.
So I remember the first cycle I applied, one of the universities told me I was a great applicant, except my GRE scores were too low. And so that I retake it. So then the second time I retook it, it still wasn't high enough. So then after that, I took a course, preparation course for the GRE. I think it was like about 7 or 8 weeks. And then I retook the GRE. It really didn't change my score as much. So after that, I just realized I'm like, that's not the school for me. So I kept it moving.
No, and that's a good choice because a lot of people do get kind of stuck on that. And
Yeah.
one of the things we always tell students, the best PA school you could really get into is the one you get into. What do you feel were some of your strengths applying to a PA program?
I think one of the biggest strengths was that I am bilingual. I speak Spanish fluently. That was one of the things for my program was that in my class, I'm probably one of the only people who can speak Spanish fluently. So sometimes when we're learning about treating patients, from a Hispanic background, I help my classmates with some of the things, in terms of like how to refer to specific things that would help them better treat the patient.
We talk about that again, same with a lot of our students, same ones that do speak Spanish fluently. You've got to use this as one of your strengths.
Yeah.
Because at the very least, you can talk to your classmates, teach them how to perform a basic exam. But it is important. Actually, I don't know when you applied, but over the years, more and more programs are requiring Spanish at least one semester. It's becoming very, very common. Okay, so this was when you got in. So that was your third time applying.
My second time applying.
I'm sorry, your second time applying. Okay. So tell us about your stats. Like, what was your GPA when you applied the last time?
I believe it was a 3.6 the second time I applied. But in that year that the second time around that I applied, I had more clinical hours as well. I had more shadowing hours as well. So I went from, I think I shadowed, 16 hours, and then I did 120 by the second time.
Oh, wow.
And I did 3 different specialties as well. So I did internal medicine, neurosurgery, and what else did I do? Primary care. Yeah.
So tell us about your clinical background. What you worked as a CNA, but what else did you do?
Yeah, so I was a CNA. I worked a little bit when I was in undergrad. And then after I continued working as a CNA, and then I moved on to working at a cardiac telemetry unit at a hospital as a clinical tech. And then from there, I became a medical assistant at a dermatology practice and then moved on to a different practice after that. But meanwhile, I was also um, working in other like healthcare experiences. I did DNA swabbing. I was a healthcare contractor for another hospital. So we did like preventative health for different companies.
Did you feel like any of them helped to make you more competitive, or it was really just about getting the hours?
I believe the cardiac telemetry unit did because I learned how to do phlebotomy, how to insert IVs. I worked with a lot of nurses, the doctors, PAs, NPs, nutritionists that came in. So that was a very good clinical experience. I got to meet different people. That's how I actually did some of my shadowing. And then from there, have gotten one of the nurses that I worked with actually helped me get one of my rotations set for the end of this year.
Mhm. Okay. So tell us about any struggles or difficulties you had, whether it was obtaining clinical hours, finding shadowing courses. What were some of the biggest struggles that you encountered?
Um, I think the first time around, I didn't really know many PAs. So I didn't have, I guess, the network in order to get shadowing hours. And then in just different specialties as well. And also in terms of what needed to go in the CASPA and what didn't, what was important information, also in terms of my personal statement, what was really, fluff over what was pertinent.
Uh, we'll get to that in a minute. So the first time you applied, how many programs did you apply to?
The first time I applied to 16 programs.
Then what about the second time around?
Second time, 10.
Okay. Um, did you get interviewed? Yeah, you did get interviewed the first time around, right?
The first time I got one interview and I got waitlisted.
Okay. And then obviously you were accepted this last time. How many interviews did you get the second time around?
The second time around, I got 9 out of the 10. I did 3 interviews. I got denied from one, waitlisted at one, and then accepted into the program that I'm at now.
Mhm.
And then all the other interviews I declined once I accepted
Right.
I was going to go here.
Okay. What do you feel changed between the first and second cycle in terms of making you a better candidate?
Mhm. Um, my my grades, I finished one of the prereqs, and also I had way more clinical hours the second time. I had more experience. Um, I had met many more PAs, so they helped me in terms of with my application, what things I should put and not put. I also met many more students that were in PA school, so they helped me also reach out to different PAs that I could ask help from. And my personal statement was a big one as well.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, and shadowing as well. I got more hours. So I think all around the second time I was more prepared as well. I felt like the first time I was more rushed and I did it more for my parents than for myself because I knew I wasn't ready.
Okay.
Yeah,
So we worked with you on your personal statement, right?
correct.
And how do you feel that helped? I mean, I know you talked there was like maybe a little fluff in your personal statement. So
Mhm.
as far as working with somebody on what should be or shouldn't be, how do you feel that helped?
I feel like it did made a big impact just because I'm not the strongest writer. It's always been my weakness. And I always like to add fluff. So it was really helpful to get that help and condense everything and make it more precise into what PA programs were looking for.
Yeah, we know. I mean, we talk to, of course, a lot of students, and often we get the feedback, well, this is what I read online, or this is what people say is supposed to be in your statement. And usually it's not always completely accurate. I'll just say that. Okay. So we also worked with you on your mock interview, right?
Correct. Yep.
Yeah. Do you feel that was helpful?
Yes. I felt very prepared when I went in for the interviews. Majority of the questions that were asked, I got asked during my interview, so I wasn't as nervous when I was answering them as well. And then I guess just preparing and going to the interviews prepared, everyone around me was more anxious. That made me less anxious. And I had a lot more questions as well in order, because when we had the mini ones, the mini
Yeah.
interviews, I didn't, some people were asking the same question to each person. And I was like, oh no, I have like 3 different questions for each person. So I felt better.
So what, if any, mistakes do you feel that you made, like looking back on the whole process, like, oh, I should have done this sooner, or I should have done this that way?
One of the things is starting early. I think I waited, right, maybe 2 months before the CASPA application opened to try to get everything ready. I didn't realize my personal statement was going to take as long as it did. So I think for me, it was writing that personal statement was the biggest challenge.
So let's talk about your PA school. So tell us about first day. How was, were you nervous meeting new people? How did things start out?
Yeah, so I moved here on New Year's, and I was sick. So I had the flu for the first 2 days of orientation. So I went the first day and then I realized I couldn't go back. So everyone had already kind of met everyone the first 2 days, and I didn't meet everyone till the first day of school. And it was nerve-wracking, but everyone was just as nervous as I was. So I didn't know anyone, and I don't have any family here at all. So I was like, I have to make friends. So I just started talking to the person that sat next to me. And then I don't know how, we just made a group of friends. And we're all very close. It's 33 of us. And we all know each other. We all hang out. It was really nice that we actually had the first quarter together, since after that we haven't really seen each other as much.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you've got to rely upon each other quite a bit if you're going to get through this. Okay. So how do you feel about your first year? Said you have 1 more semester to go of didactic. Is that correct?
Yeah. So we're in a quarter system.
Some sort of quarter.
3 months left of didactic. It's been great. I didn't realize it would go as fast as it has. I feel like I just started and now I'm about to be starting my rotations. It was, looking back at it, I thought my first quarter, it was super hard, but now it's nothing compared to what it was the first quarter. It has gotten more challenging as the quarters have gone by, but I feel like just my study habits and everything have gotten better, so I'm not as stressed as I was before.
And I guess just for people who are going to watch this, looking back on your college career, because often we get students who, well, I took a really hard course load in college. Like, trust me, this is going to be harder. What would you say to those that haven't yet started? What this really is like?
It's literally like they said, you're like drinking from a hose. Like my friend even said, I'm trying to just hang on at this point, not even drink for a minute. And it literally is like that. Yes, in college, I think the course load I took was hard, but also because I had, I was working as well, or I had time for my friends. I was in, X amount of clubs. But I think now it's like I got straight A's the first year. I got my first B last quarter, and I was amazed with myself, but I also, all my energy and focus is in the program. And aside from that, I think it's looking back on it, I'm like, yes, undergrad was hard, but this this is way more, but it's also more enjoyable because you're doing something that you actually like. You're learning
Mhm.
about things you're interested in.
I think, again, a lot of students, they talk about, they want this balance, in their personal life. I said, this is all encompassing. This is your life.
Yeah. Yep, it is. I've made I've become better at like balancing things about what I need to also have self-care for myself and like my mental health. So I made it that I go to the gym every day um, for an hour. And that's the only time I really give myself. I take small breaks here and there. I don't continuously study. It's also don't retain anything like that. But I also try to, at least have a couple hours, one day a week where it's just to myself, where I'm not studying, where I can just take a break.
What do you think about the faculty at this program?
Everyone is very great, very friendly. I think that was one of the things that I liked when I interviewed with them. All the staff was personable. I didn't feel like I was as nervous. They just seemed like genuine people. Um, and through COVID and everything, they've always adapted and made everything as easy as possible for us, and they've tried to help us and accommodate things for us. So I think they've been very great.
Good, good. So this is really what a lot of people are watching this for. They want to know, what advice do you have for anybody who's now either thinking of applying or thinking about becoming a PA? What would you tell them?
I would say, take your time. Don't rush into it. I think one of the things I got caught up with was seeing everyone around me, getting this big job or doing this, buying a house. And like, I was still trying to finish my prereqs to get into PA school. But I think that was the thing that I needed to realize, is just slow down and make sure that when I'm applying as the best candidate possible, having sufficient hours, having the best grades that I can have, making sure my personal statement is top notch, and just making connections along the way as well. Um, and looking back at those people for help, and always, letting them know how you're going, how your process is going. One of the PAs that I shadow, she always texts me, every time I'm about to finish. She like knows, and she asks me how I'm doing, and then, we just catch up and, building your network as well.
Good. Okay. Well, again, I appreciate you doing this. I know we've had a couple of misconnections. That was my fault. So I
No,
appreciate your flexibility and being willing to work with me. So
of course.
good luck with your clinical rotations. And I'm sure you're going to have a great time. And always reach out to us if you ever have any questions. We're here to help.
All right. Thank you very much for your help.